Hello, everybody. How are you doing on this fine Monday? We're doing a little bit of informal thing here tonight. We haven't prepared at all whatsoever. Yay!
No preparation whatsoever. Hey.
My very good friend Sean Reyes from Long Island Audit, as y'all know from the thumbnail and the title, and probably the internet at this point.
What's up, everybody?
Sean, thank
So
you
happy
for
to be
coming
here.
by. Thanks for. Oh man, when's the last time you were on this channel? It had to be like almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, a
A
while ago.
year. Had to be a year
Probably a
ago.
year. Yeah, probably
Yeah.
a year ago. It's a while ago now. I'm glad to be back.
Thank you very much for coming back. And I know everyone's super excited. We've gotten actually a couple questions to answer and things like that. But I was thinking, first, before we get into like specific questions, you have so much stuff going on. I don't want you to have to like enumerate every single thing. And please, that's not what this dark outside, the sun has set. We're not getting into all of that type of granular detail, but I know there's like some kind of major landmark type of things happening soon in the Nassau County thing. Do you want to
Yeah.
talk about that or?
Yeah. So basically, just to give a little bit of background on the Nassau, I was arrested in Nassau County situation I got going on. I was arrested in Nassau County at the Department of Health and Human Services. I was charged with criminal trespassing in the 3rd degree. I started asking questions, started filing for FOIA requests. There was a bunch of people, some anonymous, some just wanted to remain anonymous, and they told me their names, and law enforcement officers that reached out to me from Nassau, ex and current, and in the district attorney's office. And they basically started telling me how the police commissioner, Patrick Ryder, is one of the most corrupt, tyrannical government officials ever. So we started digging into it. Even you found, you started digging into it and found some articles that were pretty old and out there, psychopathy, and how he was arrested twice for, beating up someone allegedly. And, so basically I've been asking questions. I went to his house to ask him questions because I was actually, the reason why I went to his house, because I thought about it for a minute. I was like, how do I get to talk to the police commissioner? And you should be able to just go there or make an appointment or, something like that. He is a
Yeah.
public servant, but you can't. He hides behind restricted areas, a restricted parking lot, and it's impossible to talk to him about any of these allegations, serious allegations of tyranny and corruption. So I said, I'm just going to knock on his door. Reporters do that. Now that I
Mhm.
did it, it's like, oh man, how could you do that? But I
Well,
mean, I've seen. Go ahead.
okay, so two things come to mind. First of all, I did say that in my coverage of the story. I was like, I don't know if I personally would have gone to the guy's house. But then I said, but Sean is conducting a legitimate investigation about his public duties and he's ignoring him, or maybe he's not. So, how else is Sean supposed to contact him? And then today, just literally less than 2 hours ago, I was stumbling across the internet as I do, not minding my own business. And I came across a Supreme Court case. It wasn't a case heard in the Supreme Court. It was one where they write like a opinion without hearing it. The one, the writ of
Right.
cert, I don't know how to say that word. You know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And it said, it was literally this. It was this exact question. It was a public official being investigated by a journalist. The journalist showed up to their house to knock on the door. No one answered. And then they came back a second time. And then over the course of that, the journalist was asking around in town, do you know where this public official lives? And the Supreme Court weighed in. I think the majority opinion was authored by Justice Kavanaugh. Just was a recent case. It said, no, that is a legitimate news function. That's not harassment. And it's like specifically, it was like one of the, civil statutes like defamation and harassment or something. And it was like
Right.
the Supreme Court was like, nah, no,
Yeah.
you can go to the house as
I
long as
mean,
it's just, you can't terrorize people. But that's not
yeah,
what you
of
were
course.
doing. You
Yeah,
recorded
no,
yourself doing it.
my intention is never to terrorize anyone, but it's
Certainly.
the whole point of, I've seen countless journalists, reporters go to judges' houses, go to, county executive houses, and they knock on the door and they look for comment when people hide from questions. That's what they do. It's look online. You could find a whole bunch of them. I was actually thinking about doing a video where I showed like a whole bunch of reporters going to people's houses. But anyway, that upset him. Obviously, it upset him, and that I'm asking these questions. He sent
And a
like
bunch of
12.
cops showed up, right?
Yeah, like 12 officers showed up, and none. I wasn't arrested for anything because I didn't do anything illegal. But after that, that's when things started really heating up, and this guy, sent people across. So now they issued. People get this confused. So the warrant that's out for my arrest right now, currently, is for when I went back to the Department of Health and Human Services after I was originally arrested. That video
Right.
hasn't been seen by anybody yet. But
I'm
after I
gonna see
was
if I can
originally
find
arrested,
that video so we can show people that one.
yeah, which one? Because the arrest video is not out yet.
Oh, the one where you went back. Oh, right. You've
I
made a
went
video
back
about
I
it, but
went
you
back
haven't
there I
put the
went back there
video
with
footage on.
with glasses that were recording. So, I went back there with glasses that were recording, and I said, "Let's see how everybody, no one's knowing I'm recording. There's no legal it's not illegal to surreptitiously record." So, I went there and I did my FOIA request. I was able to do my FOIA request. I talked to the officers, I talked to some of the people in there, and there was no issue whatsoever. I didn't get any, you know, private information, nothing happened. So I proved the point that it's about outwardly recording. It's just that it has nothing to do with the recording itself. It has to do with, and they said, well, they knew so they said I knew I didn't have permission to be there, so they charged me again with criminal trespassing, and that's what this warrant is for right now.
Okay.
And
I had that one confused too.
that's why the police commissioner, Patrick Ryder, sent 15 plainclothes officers across county lines to go to my rental property, go to my home, almost, run me off the road. Not almost, he did. So basically, when I say run me off the road, he just did a maneuver. The guy in the Honda Civic, the plainclothes officer in the Honda Civic, he did like a maneuver where he just went right in front of me. And if I didn't stop, I would have hit him. And then, again, no lights, no sirens, nothing to indicate that he's law enforcement. A Honda Civic, who would ever think that?
I wouldn't have. Certainly
Right?
not.
So I
No.
went around this was on my street. So I went around him I went onto my neighbor's lawn immediately, just like instinctually. I went around him on my neighbor's lawn off the road, and then I went to my house was only like three houses down from where that happened. So I was able to just get home, and he ran after me into the garage.
What were
Um
you thinking? Like, my heart would be beating so
it
fast.
was horrible. This guy, and for me, if I kind of once I got inside, I kind of figured, I wasn't sure, but I figured it was the police at that point, after just adrenaline and everything else. I didn't think, I'm like, what could this be going on right now? I just wanted to get back to my family, go back to my, my castle and be safe there, and
Right.
hold up there, right, and protect my family. But once I figured out, I'm like, oh, it could have been a cop, but then how do I know for
You just
sure?
don't know.
I just don't know. And then they
I've
ended
come
up
into
coming
a
back.
similar situation before where, someone was serving me for a lawsuit, and it was like, I don't know, it was like a Sunday night at like 10 o'clock PM. It was something you wouldn't expect it. And I was like, I guess, and the person was saying, then the person was saying that's what they were doing, but I wouldn't come to the door because I was like, I don't know who that is.
Right.
Like, you just can't know. And then in your case, they're chasing you off the road, and it is like, it could be anybody. It could be somebody's cousin. It could be somebody's, whoever somebody's mad at. There probably is somebody's cousin and a police, if we're being honest about these guys over here.
Yeah,
But
it was definitely my family was scared. It was just it was a whole ordeal. So I basically, I already, and for, some people, oh, you ran away, you left the state. I did
no,
leave the state, but there was I had a pre-planned vacation that the court, last time I had court, I already said that in court, in open court. I'm actually going to read the transcripts shortly on my channel, but from my original arraignment. But I told the court, like, hey, they wanted to make it earlier, and I said, me and my lawyer said, hey, we have pre-planned vacations. Both of us did. So I don't have my lawyer with me. There's a stay away order protection that a judge granted to keep me away from police stations and government buildings, apparently because some random person on the internet posted, again, allegedly, I don't know if this is true, but some random person on the internet posted in my comment section one of the people's home addresses. And because somebody random did that, I got 8 stay away order protections against me. So I can't
it's
even go to the police department.
it's absurd. It's in my opinion, it can just not be anything short of completely unconstitutional.
Right.
You also live in New York and own
Right.
property there. It's not like, even, I mean, and I don't really like to distinguish, because I do believe no matter what state you go into, you should be able to have access to the public buildings if you're in a
Right.
city or whatever. I do believe that. But like, it's even more mind blowing that a judge even could do that. Like, that any one person who's in a bad mood has that amount of authority with no due process and
Right.
no evidence. No evidence.
Zero. Just
And
just the
even if there
word.
was evidence, so what? Get a restraining order against that
Yeah,
person.
go find out who they are. Exactly.
If that was in fact what happened and
Apparently, I have a duty to this is the prosecutor's train of thought was that I have a duty since it's my platform to go through the comments and regulate them, that I left that comment up. I never saw that comment, first of all, and they didn't bring any screenshots of it, so I don't even know if it truly existed or not. I couldn't find it after the fact.
but here's the thing,
So
let's say that comment did exist. Couldn't, just hypothetically speaking, um, Patrick Ryder's wife have left that comment just to plant it out there?
right,
Yes, of course she could have. Am I saying that she did? Of course not. Anybody could leave a comment.
right,
That's the whole point of being responsible for your own actions, not
right,
somebody else's. And you're so clear to them. Do not send hateful messages. Do not contact them. If you're going to redress your grievances, do so peacefully.
right.
I mean, please. And the judge didn't even lay eyes on you, or she did. You were in there when she
I
granted
was
it.
in the arraignment.
Your
It was
lawyer did a good
a no.
argument.
Yeah, he did, and when I read the transcripts, he was like, "This is outrageous," because if you think about it, just because of somebody else's action, and that action, by the way, posting somebody's home address is not even like a threat, not even it's not like they posted it and then put some threat or some call to action to go there. They are all public. Just because he just made it a little more public, but it's public information anyway. All of our addresses are public information. So I mean, I don't know if it was that secret, why would we have a system set up in this country where everybody's home address, you could find it at any given time? But again, just for that one thing, I got
And not
8
only
order
that, like,
protection against police officers too. These are law enforcement officers that, you know, and the judge, my lawyer, the craziest part out of everything is that, my lawyer is asking for incidental contact. He's like, all right, well, he made the argument like this is unconstitutional, outrageous. Like you're keep putting stay away order protections for something somebody else did, and then now you're hampering my client's ability to investigate because he can't go to police departments. He can't even go in Nassau County because if one of those officers pull him over, he's in violation. So he's like, can we get incidental contact? Like if a lawful purpose, I ran into one of these individuals, or I had to go to the police department
and the judge
for a
said
purpose.
no
And the judge
because
was like, no, I'm not
somebody
going to do
else
that.
allegedly put an address on a comment section. This is
Right.
just, I mean, like,
So no
I was saying
incidental
this,
contact. So when I
do you
turn myself in, I'll be in violation of that order of protection. That's what that means. So it's
do you remember in
yeah,
like elementary or like middle school, we would read those like from those big literature books in class, and it was always about these crazy dystopias where like they just are doing the most messed up stuff, like picking kids from the lotteries to fight each other and all. I feel like we've now transcended into like living into one of those where
right,
somebody could leave a comment on your comment section, maybe there's no evidence of said comment, and the entire force of the state can stop you from accessing your own institutions to defend yourself against the same tyrannical government. Like, it's almost like when you put it that way, it's almost like we're in a dystopian story.
right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, especially this Nassau. People ask me all the time, like, what's my most, corrupt? It's got to be Nassau, and I'm not saying that just because it's the most recent. Like, no one. I have law enforcement friends across the country, and it's not normal to send 15 plainclothes officers in unmarked vehicles to go pick up, a man on a nonviolent, low-level misdemeanor warrant. So, and I'm confident, just like I've been arrested a total of 9 times now when I turn myself in, and I have not one criminal conviction from my entire time of auditing. So I'm confident I'll beat the charges like I beat every other one. But I mean, it's a lot to go through, and it's a lot to it's just, but I mean, I'm finding more and more stuff out, so I get to, expose people, and otherwise they
So,
wouldn't have done this.
how is the FOIL request for the documents and information, the records relating to this forfeiture, asset forfeiture fund going? How's
Right.
the FOIL process been?
So asset for I'm told by my sources that he's never going to allow, as long as he's in charge, he's not going to release any of those documents. He's going to fight it, and history tells us that that's what he does. He doesn't like to release documents, even when a judge tells him to release documents. That's just
Right.
proven. A Nassau County judge ordered him to release certain documents. He refused. This guy does not like playing. He does not like following the law. He wants to do his own thing. He thinks that he's like, some Gestapo leader or something. So he's just I don't think he's going to hand him over. I do know people that have copies of documents that they have gotten um in previous years, but they're kind of scared to give it up to me. Like they don't want to give them to me. So they're scared that they might find out who gave it to them. They're scared of this guy. They really are. They're scared of a police commissioner. So I don't know. I'm gonna take it all the way. I'm gonna sue him. He's not gonna give it to me right away. They have acknowledged my FOIA request for body camera footage. I've requested so much stuff from the Nassau County Police Department and the Nassau
Yeah.
County government, but they've acknowledged all my requests. We'll see if they give up what public record. It's public record. It should be no problem. If he has nothing to hide with the asset forfeiture funds, just give it up. I'm the one that's gonna, hire a forensic accountant to go through everything and audit it. I wouldn't know what I was looking at anyway. So we'll see what happens. But they do not like that I am poking around in their business, is what they call it. The people's business, trying to hold them accountable.
It's oh man. Really honestly, Sean, watching your videos is what really started opening my eyes to just kind of like undeniable proof after undeniable proof over and over again that like it's rampant and pervasive how people that are supposed to be serving the public are treating like government like our information like it's their information. It's very
It's
interesting.
their building. You hear it all the time in my video. What are you doing inside of our building?
It's a federal building.
This
Yeah,
is
exactly.
this is our building. What are you doing here? This the mentality of, they are somehow over us. It's like, and that's why I always use the words public servant, because I want to keep hammering home the point that they work for the public. I don't mean public servant in a derogatory way. I know, people in my family are public servants. I have good friends who are in law enforcement or in work in government positions as public servants as well. And it's a
Well,
noble position if you do it
yeah.
the right way. And it's something that obviously we need firefighters, we need law enforcement, we need, people to help run the government, but they need to understand that we, the people, are the ones that fund the government. That the government is supposed to be for the people, by the people, and that's what they need to understand, is that they're not above us in any way. Imagine you talking like when a law enforcement officer disrespects me or disrespects anybody. You see a video, all these videos online. Imagine if a Walmart employee disrespected one of the customers, the same way these law enforcement officers do, or detain them way law enforcement officers do. It's like, it's not a big deal. It's like, oh, you were just arrested. You only spent 6 hours in jail. That's not a big deal. It's like, you took my freedom away from me for 6 hours, 24 hours, whatever the case may be. And then that's just not a big deal. Like, they're like, oh, it's not a big deal. You were told to stop recording, but what's the purpose beside, and I'm not the person
It's
that
like,
says like,
yeah, it's like when you get brought to the principal's office because you're not wearing a belt. It's like nobody has explained to me what I did really wrong. Like,
right.
I mean, I guess follow the rules, but like that's not even a rule. Don't record in here. It's like they're talking to you like you're a little kid. Like you were told to stop recording and now you're getting punished. It's like
I know.
that
And the
what are these people?
punishment is being put in a cell with your freedom taken away from you for hours or maybe days. That's the punishment for not stopping recording. Like, even if it was, that seems like an excessive punishment for simply just recording, because no one's ever made any allegations I've done anything other than record. I've never been charged with any assault or, anything like that during any of my audits.
And
So,
you say too all the time, like they're recording us. And I remember it was you who kind of explained it in this way, and it stuck with me. It was like,
right.
these cameras are recording us right now.
All the time.
And theoretically, in this building you were in, if I requested it, I could get it. So what's the difference between me having my own copy? Oh, well, it's privacy. Why? That does not make any sense. We didn't even get to consent whether we're getting filmed from, 10 foot,
Right.
above our heads and stuff.
Even the
But yet we
NYPD, I don't know if
are.
you've seen recently, the NYPD now has a robot that goes throughout the entire subway system and records everyone.
And the mayor or whatever was doing a heart with it.
Yeah, and he tried to
Just,
push it. He's like, "You can't push this thing." And then if it's just more taxpayer money down the drain, I guess.
those
And
things
that's
are
how
gonna
we
get
lose.
us.
That's why
I'm
we lose
scared.
our freedoms little by little, and that's why it's important for everyone to peacefully exercise their rights. Because and always record the police. How many times people have emailed me and said, "Hey, this happened to me," but they don't have a video. It's like you have to always record the police, government officials in the course of their duty. Just promote transparency because you need to know, because then that's going to lead to accountability. Hopefully, I mean that's what we're fighting for, some accountability. Because that's all I'm looking for. I don't want to even defund the police. Like law enforcement officers get paid a lot of money across this country, more than
Mhm,
people think they do.
mhm.
And I mean, hey, whatever. If there's money for it to pay them that much, sure, why not? But let's hold them accountable the same way anybody else is held accountable. Patrick Ryder was arrested for beating up, someone while they were handcuffed, and
Twice,
he didn't.
wasn't he?
Huh?
Wasn't it twice?
Yeah, twice, exactly, twice. And there might be a third arrest before while he was in the police academy. I'm digging into that. I might need your help trying to find that out. But
Yeah.
I was told that he possibly was arrested while he was in the police academy in New Jersey. So I got to look into that. So like at least two confirmed arrests for violent acts, a lawyer, a barred attorney saying that he threatened to take care of someone as a law enforcement officer, and this man is the leader of like the 13th largest law enforcement agency in the country. How does that, I mean, even if, okay, people will point out, oh, he wasn't convicted of those crimes, he was still arrested. There's a pattern of behavior. Wasn't convicted of them because that's the problem. There's no accountability. He wasn't held accountable for his actions. But I mean, hey, he was arrested twice for the same thing, leads to pattern behavior. At the very least, he should have lost his job, not be promoted all the way up the ranks to police commissioner.
He flew up those ranks too.
Yeah, passed. I think that's why a lot of people in his own department hate him, because they put in the time and years. He's been there a long time, but he didn't move up the ranks like they did. So he just went from detective sergeant, which is one of the lowest ranks. It's probably like the second lowest rank, to the highest rank, and skipped everything in between.
And with the record he
Where's the
had
local
too.
media? Yeah, where's the local media reporting on this? When he was made police commissioner, why did nobody bring up the Psycho Patty story? And why
It
did
was
nobody
hard to
talk
find
about
that
it?
story, wasn't it? Didn't you
Yeah,
look for it for a while?
I couldn't find it. You were the one that found it. I couldn't find anything like that. I knew about it, but I couldn't find the actual article.
I found
And
it in a newspaper archive. Like, it's like they digitally archive
right,
print newspapers, and I'm the same way with books too. Like, I'm one of those, like, old ladies that's like, I want a paper book.
right,
'Cause they can delete the Kindle book. Yes, they can. Like, maybe not if you download it or whatever, but it's like, once a news article is gone, it's gone off the internet from online. And we saw it with this psychopathy. Like, wouldn't it have been nice if that information was readily available and, like,
right.
optimized for transparency so that the people could see what they were getting? It's just
Yeah,
too much for me. I was thinking something you were saying about, the cameras, you have to record the police and your interactions with them. Do you think the interaction would have gone differently had that police not seen the camera outside your house? What's the plainclothes officer? Did you ever find out who that guy even
I have
is?
no idea who that is.
Still don't
But
even know if he's an officer,
he came
really.
back. I mean, he came back with his mask up to my door with Suffolk County Police. I'm told that, again, this is what I'm told. I'm told that they were on this manhunt for me on direct orders from the police commissioner. They were everywhere. I have rental properties. They were searching everywhere. They have intel divisions looking at me,
That's so scary.
major case squad. They had everybody roaming the streets of Suffolk County looking for me, and they didn't even let the Suffolk County Police Department, which is it's their jurisdiction. They didn't even let them know that they were out there. They pulled
I
over one
know.
of my tenants um, unlawfully and
Demanding
identified,
his ID too, right?
demanding his ID, and he had to hand it over to them under threat of arrest. So they're not, they are definitely out of the lines of the law by pulling over my tenant. They have no jurisdiction to do that. He didn't commit any traffic infractions. I mean, it's just ridiculous what they're doing. And then he did see the camera and like turn away and, put his mask up. So it shows, again, nefarious intentions. At least in my mind, it shows nefarious intentions. I don't know why a law enforcement officer would need to cover their face in broad daylight while they're executing. If all their activity that they're engaging in is lawful, why would you cover your face? I don't understand that. But
To me,
I
like,
mean,
I don't know. I wasn't there, obviously. I just saw the footage you posted, but to me,
Right.
it looked like, in my opinion, only speculation. I'm not in his mind, but it looked like he was heading right up to your door to get you or attempt some type of, arrest. And when he saw, that's my opinion, that camera, he put the mask up and turned his behind around and went back to his car. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like the camera deterred him from going on the route that he was planning and intending to go, in my opinion.
Right. I mean, it certainly looks that way. I don't know if they have the authority to enter my house on that low level warrant. I'm
They
not
don't.
sure how that works. So they I don't they can't just come in after me. It's not like a felony warrant, violent felony warrant. So but again, they can't just pull in front of me on the street either, you know. But
Yeah.
they can't. If I would have just rammed right into him and didn't stop because I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna ram this guy. He could be trying to, carjack me. It could be anybody, right? And I
Anybody.
would have
I don't even
defended
know what I
myself.
would think. It's so strange and surreal. It's like from a movie.
Right. It is. It really is from a movie, and and I'm glad my security camera footage caught everything, so that way, it shows the level that they're. And then they had to come back, and then now that Suffolk doesn't know, once they realize that, hey, he knows we're looking for him, and we got him on he got us on security camera footage. I'm told that because it was like an hour between that incident, when that happened, to when they came back with Suffolk County Police Department, with the Suffolk County police officers. So I'm told during that hour they were speaking with Suffolk County Police, like, "Hey, we're here, we're looking for this guy," and I'm told Suffolk PD wasn't too happy, and I can only imagine that they wouldn't be. Just some rogue police department in their jurisdiction looking for a guy on a low level trespass warrant. I
And,
don't
like,
think that's normal.
everything is politics, like, who knows what the commissioners have, against each other, on each other. It's like, there's a lot of reasons not to do that, including, the law. And it's like, yeah, you gotta follow every law, even the ones that don't exist, but they don't have to follow any of them.
Right. It's always the double standard when it comes to law enforcement too, because they'll say ignorance is no, even if you don't know the law, ignorance is no excuse to violate the laws, right? But if it is for them, every time they don't understand the law or case law on a subject, they get qualified immunity, and you can't sue them in federal court, and they get protected. And again, I'm just looking for the same level of accountability to be held on government officials as it is the everyday person out here, because I mean, they should be held because we give them additional authority. So they should be held to even higher standard than anyone else. But can we at least work on getting it where it's even, that if you beat up somebody who out there handcuffed, or if you do something, look at all the resources and time they're putting into prosecuting me on a criminal trespass in the third degree case where I recorded in a public area asking questions.
Well, to me, it now definitely seems like this is, in my opinion, it looks like retaliation
Right.
and an attempt to chill your speech with respect specifically to the investigation you're doing into the asset forfeiture fund. I mean, I have seen you be treated pretty poorly before by other places, other departments, other municipalities. Danbury comes to mind, but that seemed like they wanted it, like there was some egos involved and they wanted to show, they wanted their pound of flesh one way or the other. This
Right.
feels different to me from
Yes,
as a
it
spectator.
definitely it feels different to me as well, and that's why I tell people, this one definitely feels a little bit different, but I'm gonna tackle it the same way. I'm not gonna give up. I'm just gonna keep on fighting. They can add whatever charges they want. I heard they're trying to add a stalking charge, and whatever they want to add, they can add. They're just making it worse for themselves at the end of the day.
Mhm.
I did negotiate. Now that I'm back from vacation, I did negotiate with my attorney and the district attorney. Like I said, technically, when I go to the police department, I'll be in violation of order of protection. They won't put in writing. They won't put in writing that they won't prosecute me for it, but they're telling, as an officer of the court, as a law enforcement officer, the officer of the court being the district attorney, and as a law enforcement officer, we're telling you that we're not going to do that. That would be ridiculous. He's obviously coming in to turn himself in, not to violate a stay away order of protection.
It's
I don't
ridiculous that the stay away orders exist. So we've already entered into the ridiculous land over here.
exactly, and that's what my lawyer. But we're just gonna see. We're gonna give them enough rope to hang themselves. If they're gonna arrest me on that too, that's ridiculous, even more. And
Oh,
Eventually,
yeah.
when I beat all these charges, there'll be a federal lawsuit, and I'm going to hold them accountable. And there might not be, I don't want to give away any legal strategy here, but the qualified immunity might not apply in this certain circumstance. That's all I'll say. But um, I definitely have a date to plan myself. I've turned myself in, and I will be doing that. I'm not running from anybody. I know I'll win in court, so I'm not running from anyone. I will handle it the legal channels and turn myself in and get released. Hopefully the same day, go to court and be on my way and keep fighting and have my lawyer write up a motion to dismiss.
Yes, and it needs to be, and, I mean, I guess the one thing, like you said, if they keep piling it on, it's really just gonna make it worse for them. It's gonna take it out of this jurisdiction. Just it's gonna have to be a federal question or whatever, because it's just like if they just keep doing it, it's just to me, it's so obvious already what's going on. It's retaliation to chill your speech,
Right. Yeah.
in my
And
opinion.
yeah, no, I mean, I think, that it's your opinion, right? But I think it's when I speak about government officials, I try as to remain as professional as possible, especially with these allegations. But at the end of the day, I don't allow anybody to curb my free speech. So it's my opinion that Patrick Psycho Ryder is a tyrant and a corrupt official. That's my opinion. He's threatened people. He's even threatened. He's even back channeled ways, and I've heard that he's like, "Hey, you better stop." He's gonna sue me for defamation. What is it that you always say, BJ? Facts ain't
Facts
defamation.
ain't defamation.
It's a fact you were arrested twice. It's a fact your nickname is Psycho. I didn't make that name up for you. You earned that yourself with your behavior.
The thing
It's
about it that astonishes me is not even that he had that as a nickname, not that the people who he was spying on and jumping out of bushes on would call him that. His fellow men in blue called him psycho as a term of endearment.
right. Just shows you the mentality of the law of the department back, then and now.
Why was he jumping out of bushes? Why was he jumping out of trees?
He's looked
I saw
at.
two separate reports. One was bushes, one was trees. And in my imaginative world, it's both. He was in
Yeah.
bushes and trees, and I just want to know why.
He's just hiding trees, jumping out on, people and arresting them and then fighting with people at bars and doing all these crazy things. I don't know. He's mad obviously at me. He doesn't like me very much. The feeling's mutual. I mean, I would just like him to retire at this point, just get out of public service and just, be disgraced, but I also want him held accountable for his actions. So hopefully he is. Accountability is important, especially because it sets the tone for the whole department. Because if you're not held accountable, if the message to law enforcement agencies is you can be arrested almost two times for sure, uh maybe even three, and still become the police commissioner. And these are not just like petty crimes. These are crimes you're arrested for. And there's probable cause. He was charged with perjury, official misconduct. So he's a liar. He's charged with perjury. That's it, till this day. And look, this is how it perpetrates. This is how it escalates throughout the whole department because it goes from him down, right? So it's going to go. He's an alleged liar, I guess, and he was arrested for lying, perjury, official misconduct, and now two of his detectives right now were fined. The judge stripped their qualified immunity from them because they strip searched him in on the street and violated him in so many ways, and they lied about it on the stand. And those detectives are still detectives till this day, even though the
Yep.
judge said that their comments were quote farcical, and he fined them a total of $30,000 for perjury and for lying straight to his face. And and they're still detectives. There's detectives in his legal bureau this is confirmed with law firms. So he has detectives in his legal bureau for the Nassau County Police Department, who two of them, who I know for a fact, have law firms. How is that not a conflict of interest that you work for the Nassau County Police Department and you're a named partner in a law firm?
What?
It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like you're double dipping. It's just crazy. You have access to police computers, whether you do that or not. It's just the appearance of something like that you could use your inside, track into the police department to help your clients in criminal cases or in any case really. that seems like a big conflict to me, and that's something that needs to be looked into.
And the
And it's all
riders
things
are
I'm looking
all
into.
tied into the local cities all around in the county. They're all doing thank you for the super chat, Havar Vargas. Um it's definitely makes me wonder like what else is really going on with it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something. It's something to look into, and I'm not going to stop looking into it. And no matter order protections, we're going to try and get those taken away. But no matter order protections, no amount of charges they can put on me is ever going to stop me.
Good.
I'm not scared of them. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully we have justice and some accountability in Nassau.
And also, we have your back, we the
I know
people have your back.
that's what keeps me strong. Is that, but it's so scary at the same time, and for not for me, but for other people when I think about it, because I have the resources, I have the people, hundreds of thousands of people that support me, and they're doing this to me. So imagine what they're doing to, you know, Johnny down the street that, has no money, that has no family, no support system. Not He doesn't have hundreds of thousands of people. Like, what type of tyranny is law enforcement getting away with because the media doesn't cover it? There's two local media stations here on Long Island, and I've reached out to both, and I'm like, hey, and I was like, hey, do you see what's going on here? No one's talking about this guy being arrested. We need to look into that stuff forfeiture. He's not handing it over. And they're like, well, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to report on this. But can you please can you figure out a way to stop people from calling us about this story? Because we can't handle the phone calls. And I was like, goodbye. It was
Why do they want everybody else holding them accountable to somehow be your fault? I don't
yeah, they're like, can
it's
you
like they
just
don't
stop people from calling us?
the irony here, Sean, that the actual local newspaper doesn't understand their own function.
Right.
It's astonishing, it's mind-blowing, it sometimes makes me feel overwhelmed, and I feel the same way as you that I am I'm fighting facing my own legal battles, legal false accusations, and etc. And I feel the same way as you. It's like I often find myself wondering, like, how do people do it? How does the regular normal person just like be free? And unfortunately, sadly, I think they're not fully. I think we're not. Clearly, we're not. We can't do journalism without getting, you getting chased down by police in a different jurisdiction.
Right.
A
It's
police
just
commissioner named Psycho. Thank you
no,
for the super chats,
it's
everyone.
absolutely it's absolutely insane. It's just, I mean, we're just gonna keep on pushing on, and hopefully, this is my job, right? People like that you
Yeah,
can
and I don't want it to be all like, doom and gloom. I'm honored. I'm proud, and I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in my investigations and also having your back however I can, because I do feel like we're fortunate in some ways to be able to fight the system in the ways that we do. And I know it grinds down on you. It's scary. I know it does firsthand in a different way.
Right,
But
right.
I'm happy. I'm proud to do it. And I'm going to keep pushing too. This is what I'm here to do until I'm not doing it. And I'm so relieved to know people like you, and to know you specifically because you inspire me a lot and you give me a lot of courage too to just keep on going because what's right is gonna just have to be the only thing that's left in the end. And I'm gonna just do my part to push all the people forward. And I appreciate everyone comes to our assistance. They help us too. They send us tips, they send us leads, they help the legal
Right,
funds. I mean, we're all in it. It's cool
right.
and
Because
it
I'll
does
tell
get
you firsthand,
scary.
lawyers, yeah, because it's important. Lawyers are expensive. They are expensive. When they add the additional charge, my lawyer's like, well, that sucks. We got to sign a new retainer agreement for that. Even though it's a stupid additional charge, and I'm not mad at him. It's just,
No, it's
he's doing
part
his
of it.
job, it's an additional charge. So you just have to do what you need to do. And, I spent, since I've started, a whole bunch of money on lawyers, but a lot of it comes from, people who support the legal funds and people who donate. So, I'm not complaining. It's just, like I said, it's part of the job. Obviously, I tell people like, oh, why don't you get a real job? And I tell people, it's funny. It's like, I wish you would just tell the IRS that I have a fake job so that way I don't have to pay taxes anymore.
There
because
it
I mean,
is.
because if I have a fake job, I shouldn't have to pay real money in taxes. So, and I pay a whole bunch. I help support this country, a lot. And when people say, "Oh, you don't pay any taxes to this government," like in Danbury or anywhere else in the country that I don't reside in, every single municipality receives federal taxes, and that's the one that takes out they're the ones that takes out the most money, and they all get
And
grants
in
and
particular,
funds from them.
Danbury with their little school grant that they
Yeah,
got
exactly.
through their besties who
That's
are
just
in the
one
Congress,
example.
they
Right.
in particular get federal funds. So don't
Right.
get me started on
But that's
them right
all
now.
of them. Yeah, yeah,
They're
no, but that's one
horrible.
specific
Ooh,
thing that we saw, but that's every single municipality receive federal funds. You think they'd be more inviting. I try and tell them, when I do the trainings with the law enforcement officers in these departments, I try and tell them, like, "Why don't you be more inviting? De-escalate, be more inviting towards people so that way they wanna visit your city and they wanna visit your town, and tell them where to get, food at a local restaurant." And, I don't know, wouldn't you think it's a good idea to represent your town in a good way when you have somebody you're getting it's free publicity. It's hundreds of thousands of people that are seeing your town. I
and
think
you've
it'd be
seen
smart
it.
to act professional.
I've seen it on your videos. There's some of them I'm like, "Oh, they're just so cute." That one, there'll be a lady at a little, "Can I help you?" "Okay." That's all you have to do.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
then, like,
That's
move
it. Be nice,
along.
and I'm gonna be nice. There would never be a problem. Just treat me with respect, and that's it. And there would be no problem. But obviously, they hate cameras. That's just what it comes down to. They hate transparency.
Transparency. That's what they really hate. They don't want us checking in on what they're doing, but
Right.
unfortunately, that is our right, and it's just eventually me and you and the rest of us out here are gonna pound the pavement enough to where that's gonna be everyone's gonna know it,
Right.
hopefully. That's what I think. Let me see if is there another let's see, one of the questions we got is there another auditor channel you respect and why? I don't know who that was, directed to. My favorite auditor channel is Long Island Audit.
So if I'm gonna answer the question, I would say there's a few, but to keep from rambling on, uh, one I Rogue Nation, he's is a channel that, I've looked up to him a lot. He's been doing this for a very long time. The Batosai is another one. Again, these are like guys that have been doing this for a very long time. The Batosai, Philip Turner, has, case law in his name. He's really done the right things and followed up with lawsuits. And, you know, there's a bunch. There's a bunch. There are some, I will say, there are some that I don't agree with the way that they, operate. And, we can disagree, and that's fine. It's just, I don't agree with their methods, but I mean, I'm not the I don't I work alone for a reason. It's not because I don't like everybody. It's because I actually like a lot of these First Amendment auditors and activists, and it's better to control the situation and to be able to de-escalate it. When there's too many people on an audit, I feel like it becomes, it escalates very quickly, and I can't control it because I can't control what the next man next to me is going to do, or woman next to me is going to do.
That's right.
But so I just like to work alone. But at the same time, I do have a lot of respect. Jeff Gray is another one. He does a lot of good work. I'm sure the people watching that follow audits know who all these people are. And obviously, like channels like Lackluster is an amazing channel that like highlights a lot of corruption in law enforcement. He works very, very hard. I
I like
talked to
that
him
channel a
personally.
lot. It's very well done.
Very, very well done. He works by himself. He does it all. He's very hardworking, exposes a lot of tyranny and corruption out there. I'm proud
That's
to call him
awesome.
my friend. He's a good guy.
So
Also,
I
just wait,
think he
and
was
Dan,
in
forgot Dan.
Dan.
Dan
Let's
auditing Erie County.
Oh, he's in the chat. I think he's one of my mods actually too. Yes. That's awesome. And then someone else asked, what is the most insane or craziest story? But I think that's what you already answered that. You said it's this whole like Nassau
Yeah, it's
fiasco.
crazy. I mean, two armed, men in Honda Civics and playing, coming to your house. I mean, what could possibly top that?
It really is
Um,
like Too Fast, Too Furious. And you're
yeah.
like in the neighbor's yard, like, okay, let's see. I guess, it's late. I don't want to keep you too long. Was there anything else you wanted to cover? Did you see any good
Not really. I mean, if
questions?
there's any more questions,
There's been a lot of them. Let's see. You are my fave auditor. Uh Oh yeah, anything you want to say about NYPD? Someone was like, "Are you planning on?"
Oh, so yeah, I'll give a brief update on the NYPD. So I was, as you all know, I was arrested by the NYPD twice. One of the charges was dismissed. It's hard to follow like this whole story and saga of everything because it's like I was arrested so many different times. Some of them were dismissed, some of them were not. So I was the one at the 75th precinct wasn't dismissed yet. I'm charged with criminal trespass third degree and obstructing government administration, and that case is still ongoing. My lawyer did submit a motion to dismiss. I think like a 50-page. It's a beautiful mastery of a motion to
Nice.
dismiss.
I
I
love
think
a
he did a
good legal
great job.
writing.
The district attorney's office like we're going to need a long date, Your Honor, on our last court date because for them to respond to the arguments that he made and everything he put in there, he did an amazing job. He's a former prosecutor, 15 years, so he knows how it is on the other side, and
Nice.
he really cares about what we're doing here, and I appreciate him for sure. He wrote the amazing motion to dismiss, so that will be decided by November 21st. So stay tuned for that. And then I'm also suing the NYPD in federal court, and we had an injunction hearing. I haven't told anybody about this yet, but we had an injunction hearing last week or 2 weeks ago now. 2 weeks ago, we had an injunction hearing in federal court in Manhattan, and the judge was very fair, asked a lot of questions. My attorney, this is a different attorney, and they did a great job. The city attorney, not so much.
Hmm.
So with an injunction hearing, I went there and I testified. My attorney questioned me, and then I was I was questioned by the city's attorney, the New York City attorney on cross, and he did a horrible job there too. He didn't really ask any tough questions. It was actually pretty easy. And then they put up an NYPD captain to talk about why it's important not to allow recording inside of the precincts for
It's like
security
so
purposes.
stupid they're arguing that because it's like a statute in the city
Right.
that the city council put in.
Yeah,
Like
that
you
you
can
can
definitely
record
record
police.
them.
Yeah.
The
So it's
end.
it's 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 not even like, and the judge made this comment is that, I'll get the transcripts for that as well, but the judge even made the comments like, okay, well, I don't even have to make a first why would I need to make a First Amendment analysis on this? Like when because she has to work her way up, right? She can't just say, well, the First Amendment allows government him to be there. So
Yes.
there's a local law there that an ordinance passed by the New York City Council that says you have the right to record law enforcement in the course of their duty. There is
Right.
no exceptions for a police precinct. The only exception is if you're being charged, if you're being arrested lawfully. That if you're being arrested, you can't record the police while you're being arrested for an OGA. You can't obstruct them in any way. But
Right.
as far as recording in the precinct, so I don't see the judge on while they're doing closing arguments. Like my lawyer was so prepared, he didn't have any notes. He must have practiced for days. He did an amazing job. The judge would interject and ask him questions interrupt him and ask him questions during. It was actually very nice to see. Like, and this is why I wish cameras were more in courtrooms because I think this is this judicial process is something that people should see because
Yeah.
it's so fascinating and it's the way it works and the way it plays out in the court of law is actually very fascinating to me. Um, he's given his closing argument. It's just an injunction hearing, so it's not a trial or anything. But he's giving his closing arguments for the why the judge should. And just so anybody that doesn't know, an injunction is a judge issuing an order saying enjoining the police department from not being able to enforce this policy of no filming in the precincts. So
Right.
that's what we're asking the federal judge to do. And they made the argument that if she interfered and did that, that it might be binding on the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office and the lower court and the Brooklyn court to dismiss my case because a federal judge is like interfering. And judges, it's called there's a standard.
It's like
Uh,
preemption or something.
it's like there's a younger standard that they have to follow. But my attorney made an excellent point that this is not binding. There's binding and then there's persuasive. It's persuasive at best, but if as long as it's not binding, it doesn't violate younger.
Right.
And again, I'm saying a lot of technical terms, but these are all the terms that I'm learning too when I'm dealing with all these court cases. But at the end of the day, the federal judge was asking the city attorney a lot of questions on, how is this unreasonable? How is it not in violation of the New York City and the New York State Right to Record Acts? And he was just, when I tell you he couldn't speak, he just couldn't speak. Like again, I'm not talking. He's probably a nice guy. I don't know him. He's just doing his job. But just as far as his performance goes, it was very painful to watch. Like when you get like secondhand embarrassment from somebody, and it was just like it was like that. Like
And you're trying not to cringe.
yeah, especially in a courtroom,
It's so hard for
but
me not to
what
make
I
my
took away from
faces.
that what I took away from it is that the mentality is because he did such a horrible job objectively, just not because I was sitting on the other side from him, but he did such a horrible job objectively, and he left the courtroom held his head high, and they're talking about lunch. You know,
Yeah,
they
no
don't
shame.
care. They just don't care. Like,
No.
that's what I want people to really take from this is that like they're the attorneys defending New York City, and they don't really even care that they got their ass kicked. So
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's just a job for them. So that's why they do. That's probably why they're not as good as somebody that's representing themselves or representing somebody that actually believes in something, because they're just going through the motions. And he did a horrible job, and we're waiting. When I know what the federal judge decides, I'll let everybody know. But that's
That'll be
basically
good.
where so November 21st, we'll find out what the judge rules on the motion to dismiss, and then whenever the judge issues a decision in federal court, we'll know then more then. I do have court tomorrow in Nassau County, so I will be addressing both of the charges there. But as you all know, this is a long process. It takes, Danbury took 2 years, and it ended up in a 2-week, stupid infraction trial. So
And is that on appeal too?
yeah, so the way that I appealed that, but they said because I paid the fine, so I'm trying to look for a way around this now, but they basically won because you have to understand that I was not convicted of any crime in Danbury. I was not even I wouldn't even call it being convicted. I was found guilty of a simple infraction, which holds the same amount of weight. It's an $90 fine, and it holds the same amount of legal weight as a parking ticket. You'd be more upset if you got a speeding ticket or a cell phone ticket, because then you get points and it's more than $90.
Right.
But so they found me guilty on an infraction, and because I paid the infraction, I was ordered to pay the infraction by a certain date, but because I paid the infraction, they're saying that I can't appeal, and they use some technicality. So that same Judge Stengo, vacated the appeal because apparently I wasn't supposed to pay the fine or whatever. I
Even
don't
though
really
they
care
ordered you
because
to.
even though they ordered me to, and I would have been probably arrested if I didn't, but held in contempt of court. But I think I'm just gonna let the federal courts, when my lawyers submit the lawsuit in there, because it's like, what am I appealing? What am I going to spend tens of thousands of dollars appealing an infraction for? I could just, they already lost by dropping all the criminal charges. So I'm just going to move forward with the federal lawsuit and let them handle it.
Good. Good. And that's still ongoing. So
Right.
that's really, yeah, that's the most important thing. I would do the same thing. I don't blame you not one bit, and it does make the most sense. So I guess we'll take this one more question, then we'll do one more follow-up. And unless you're just dying to stay on here, I'll let you loose. But this Amber is actually my mom. She wants to know, what is the biggest satisfaction personally for you doing your work? That's a hard question. I've been thinking about it since I read it.
Well, it's actually pretty easy for me because what gives me the most satisfaction is when I see emails. I see people in person all the time. I don't know how I became so recognizable, but I mean, I know how, but it's just it blows my mind how recognizable I am. Like I
I
can't
don't
go
get
out.
recognized.
You
That
don't?
happened to me one time ever.
You
Mm-mm.
don't? No, no, no.
Never. I
When
mean,
I
I
tell you,
even went to
BJ,
a signing, a meet and greet with BAM, and there was a lines of people that were trying to get him to sign stuff. I didn't go there for that. I was just saying hello because he was in the area, and one person recognized me, even within that like world of things after free BAM and all of that.
yeah. No, no, no,
Thank
no, no,
you,
dude.
Alec.
I can't go anywhere, at, like a restaurant, anywhere, Walmart, it doesn't matter. I can't go anywhere. Well, I can. I just 9 times out of 10 somebody's going to be like, "Hey, Sean, Long Island, I love your videos." And I take a picture with them. I have no problem with it.
Yeah,
It
you're
is
like
what
a
it is. I'm like,
celebrity.
yeah, it's just weird because I didn't grow, I didn't, come up in the kind of life where people recognize you, random people in the parking lots and, restaurants, and your waitresses and your waitresses. And so the best to answer the question is that happens a lot. And I get a whole bunch of emails and I can't even read them all. But the ones that I read and the people that I speak to, the way that they say how I've taught them so much that watching my videos, they've learned so much from watching my videos and learned how to better control their emotions and better stand up for their rights and to record the police and to properly, to properly speak to the police in a way that will de-escalate the situation, but still but still remain assertive for your rights. Every single time, that's what people say. They say, "Hey, thank you for that." And I'm not a lawyer. I never went to law school. I surrounded myself by a lot of smart people. People say, "Well, how'd you learn so much?" I've read a lot, and I've surrounded myself by really smart people, and they've helped me out through the way, even viewers. But it's that's being so satisfied that when people say, "Hey, you really helped me out," or "Thank you for what you're doing," and that's what really makes everything worth it for me. Because no matter what happens to me, put in a jail cell, do anything else, if the people have my back, and again, there's going to be some people who don't, and some people who hate me, and that's just the way life is. You have to have thick skin to be on the internet, as you know, BJ. But people are always going to talk about you. But at the end of the day, there's so many more people that support me, and I really appreciate them. And none of this is possible without each and every one of them. If they didn't want to watch the videos, I wouldn't have the financial capabilities to be able to do this full time and travel the country and get hotels and do everything that I do that's necessary to, expose tyranny and corruption, lawyers, lawsuits, everything else. So the number one thing that satisfies me personally would be, the appreciation by the people and the support of the people, for sure. It makes everything worth it.
It definitely does, and it helps to get through those more difficult patches, I'm sure, too, where you're kind of feeling, I mean, I don't know, sometimes whenever the powers that be are fighting against me really hard, I'll start to feel a little isolated or kind of like alone, like no one gets it. And I'm like, no, you know what? Like the people have seen every single moment of this. They know exactly what's going on. Like all the people that watch my videos, all the people that watch your videos in your case, like probably a large overlap at this point between both of them.
Right, right.
Um, and all those things that you said that people come up to you and tell you, that is certainly like all of that rings true for me as well. And I did go to law school, but like even I didn't know some of the stuff that like how you put it. It's the way that you explain it and you put it into practical terms that really made it click for me. It's like takes it out of a law school textbook. It's like, yeah, they're recording us right now. Why can I not
Right,
record? Like,
right.
it's like like that's not law school, that's common sense. And
Common
it's
sense, yeah.
sometimes like that's the most profound intelligence that there is because it's like, yeah, it cuts through everything else. Just yeah, that duh. Anyway, okay. So are you having any meet and greets or anything planned coming up soon or not yet or
No, I
on the
think
horizon?
like I said, I'm turning myself in soon. I'm gonna record that whole process as much as like they'll
I'll
allow me to.
cover
Well,
it.
not me personally recording it, but I'll have my
Someone.
videographer Scalzo photo. He'll be there and he'll be recording the whole process as much as he can before I go back in the cell or whatever. But I want to announce probably soon a protest in Nassau County. I mentioned it on my TikTok live streams, but I haven't really I mentioned it also on my YouTube live streams, but I want to make sure I get a date that enough people can come. I want this
Yeah.
to be like, because obviously the elected officials know about what's going on in Nassau County. They have to,
Mhm.
but they're just choosing to ignore it.
They're
So
appointing commissioners, Sean.
yeah, they're the ones that appointed the commissioners, exactly. So they're choosing to ignore it. So I'm going to try and make it as difficult as possible for them not to ignore it, and for the media not to ignore it. So I want to gather as many people as possible to peacefully protest the government. So the Nassau County government, probably like right outside the Nassau County executive's office, like the executive building. And I think there's like a huge courtyard there. So I definitely want to do it there. But details will definitely, I want to, because I also want to, I'm going to invest like a whole bunch of money into this. I want to, you saw in the news article, hundreds of people showed up when Patrick Ryder allegedly beat a man with handcuffs. So,
Yeah.
or I saw another one where, an officer beat this kid, bloodied his eye and everything, and there was hundreds of officers in the courtroom in their regular clothes, but hundreds of them like chanting in the courthouse. And if I just thought to myself, as I saw that video, I thought to myself, first of all, how are they recording in a courthouse? Number one, how do they? Number two, um if I were to do something like that, if I had hundreds of people, that's why I really don't even tell about my court dates, or I don't even ask people to come, is because if I had hundreds of people show up to my court date, and if I had hundreds of people show up, they would charge me with inciting a riot, you
Oh, they
know.
would probably send people to do a riot and then blame you,
Right, exactly.
knowing
They would
them.
they would charge me for inciting a riot, and, you just have to extrapolate it. If I can get 8 stay away order protections for some random person on the internet allegedly putting someone's home
Allegedly,
address,
with no
allegedly putting
evidence.
someone no evidence, putting somebody's home address. Imagine if 300 people showed up to my court date. They
It's
would
preposterous.
say I'm intimidating the judge somehow, or
Well, I
something
mean,
ridiculous.
when I went to the Britney Spears court hearings, I mean, it was such a circus. They would only let 9 people from the public in, and 60 spots were reserved for traditional media outlets who had media badges. 60, and then 9 or 10 people from the public could go in. And if you had anything on, a shirt, a pin, a button that even looked like it was supporting Britney or said Britney on it, you could not wear it. People would wait outside the court all day and just to be turned away at the actual courtroom entrance because they were wearing a Britney Spears shirt, because it would be intimidating or somehow affecting the judge or trying to persuade the judge. Like, the judge wasn't persuaded by the 1,000 people that got a parade permit to do a protest outside for the last 6
Right.
straight hours. It's going to be the shirt inside the courtroom. Like, okay.
And at my arraignment in Nassau County, someone actually, that I have no idea who they are, I have no affiliation with them. They actually requested to record my arraignment, and the judge denied. The same judge that issued the order of protection denied it. And it's just funny to me that he asked defense counsel, to my attorney, do you have any objection? My attorney's like, no. We just want to make it real clear for the record, we don't know this man, we have no idea who he is, but we don't have any objection. The reason why cameras aren't allowed in the courtroom is to protect the defendant, not to protect the people. And that's another one thing I hate about every time I go through these court proceedings. It's always the people of the state of New York versus Sean Paul Reyes, because it's really not, right. It's
How
not
are
the
you
people.
protecting the people by
It's
not giving them very easy access to their institutions and how they
right.
function?
It's not the people. It's the very select few government, public servants that don't like the fact that I'm recording them. And even the prosecutor was like, we object to this recording. It'll be posted online, and they go on and on and on. And it's like, where's the transparency? What's wrong with recording a court proceeding? Like, how does that affect anything? Like, I could understand maybe a confidential witness or something, but this is an arraignment. Like,
Yeah, or if it was like heinous crimes or like
yeah, or
children were
something.
involved or
Or,
something.
or if the defendant didn't want it, because if your trial's being broadcasted, it could, those people go home and you think they're not supposed to watch anything. You think they really don't watch anything, or their family's not watching anything. So it could like taint the jury for you. But I'm the defendant. I have nothing to hide.
Right.
I want it to be recorded, and I've had cases drop because the judges have allowed it to be recorded. How insane that sounds in Berwyn, Illinois, where the judge was like, "Yeah, I don't really mind anybody. If he wants to record it, let him record." And the prosecutor, like red as a tomato, was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, if he wants to record, what's the big deal? Let's get this trial started." And they dropped the charges. They'd
I love
rather
that
drop the
story.
charges against me than allow a camera to watch the proceeding. That should tell you everything you need to know.
I feel like by the end of like this year, you're gonna have enough of these crazy stories to have like a docu-series of like
Yeah.
episodes. Like
Oh,
one for Berwyn, like how
yeah.
does it end?
I'm
How
thinking
does
about
it
writing a
resolution?
book. I have to write a book. That's what
It's
I
so
need to
hard to
do.
find the time to sit down and write.
I
I need to write a
know, I
book
know,
too.
I know. It's so
It's
hard, especially
hard.
I have 2 little ones, so it makes it even harder. But and
So
then I'm always
hard.
so busy. But
I
you
would buy
know,
your book though. Would
I'm
buy.
thinking about writing a book. Maybe, I guess different chapters for different, like Danbury chapter. There'll be a big chapter though. Danbury could be its own book, 100%.
I think it should be its own book. I
Yeah,
do. I
Danbury.
kinda do. And then in your
The
other
story
book
of
that you write with
corrupting
like the
it.
serieses, then though that one can have like honorable mention for Danbury and be like, go read the book.
Right, because
Or I'm working on a book.
it would be cool to actually give my insight. Again, I'm not saying I'm writing a book, so don't wait on any book coming out anytime soon,
I'm
but
waiting.
I'm
I'm in
saying
line.
I'm saying it would be cool to to be able to share, like, my insights, like, as I'm staying at this hotel right now, what am I thinking about? What am I going through as I'm thinking about how do I prepare for tomorrow? Like, what am I gonna do tomorrow? How do I go on? I'm actually gonna start live streaming, all my audits on TikTok, just
Good.
to give people that behind people who want to watch it. You know, I know a lot of people don't use TikTok, but
Can someone put Sean's TikTok in the live chat link, please? Mods or someone? Thank you.
yeah, so if people want to come watch on TikTok, I think it's so easy to go live on TikTok, and it's so informal that I think it's great that I could just like set up my phone and go live during my audits, or I do kind of stuff like this informal, Q&As and just talk to people, and it's pretty cool.
Do you
You have
live
to go
audit
live on
already?
TikTok. Huh?
Do you go live on any of your audits right
I
now?
I don't go live only because a lot of the places so the problem is that the signal sometimes it won't be that good. But I mean, if I'm just doing it as a backup, I guess it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But a lot of
Oh,
the time,
I'll
and
be
that's like
in there. I'll be live streaming the live stream. We'll be in
yeah.
the comments like, tell him this, tell him this.
Right. Right. That'd be
Okay.
cool.
All right. So that's all I really had. I'm definitely looking forward to
Time
hearing
flies
all the
so fast.
updates. What's up?
We've been here for an hour already. Wow. Really flies.
I know time flies when you're talking about tyranny and corruption. I try to keep it light and, fun too, because it's like, it can weigh you down and things. But I do consider myself to be fortunate to be able to be doing it and stuff. And oh man, I am a very big fan of you and your
The universe
work and your
chose us, right?
channel. Hmm?
The universe chose us, right? How many people have I say it all the time, like, I don't know. People say, "Hey, how'd you grow your YouTube channel so big? How did you grow so fast?" And like, in a year you were so couldn't tell you.
It
There's
was
no
the
secret.
Lord. I
There's
don't
no
know. Take it up with the
there's
Lord.
yeah, take it up with the Lord, 'cause there's nothing that I could tell you that I can't tell you, I have no
I
idea.
would
But I'm
say just
grateful. I'm grateful.
being your real true self and just like radiating the frequency that comes out of like you just being your authentic self and trying your very hardest to do good instead of, bad is gonna lead you in better places than most. That's my life advice and my YouTube advice.
Perfect.
That's all I really had. So yes, I'm gonna be definitely looking for the update on the protest too. There's gonna be one coming and I know people are gonna want
Yeah,
to get it.
a sign guy? I gotta buy a bunch of signs. We gotta
I
put
do know a
Psycho
sign
Writer
guy.
on the sign. We gotta put like those Psycho Writer newspaper article, everything. I want to do like a whole bunch of signs. Like I want to drop money on this because I want it to be
We'll
something
chat
where
offline about the sign guy.
all right, sounds
I
good.
really do know a sign guy. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to leave your here's the TikTok here. Monica has put it. I'm gonna put it in the description box below, y'all, in case you missed it. Hello. Sean is going to be live streaming his audits on TikTok from now on. So I'm gonna put the link below for
Should
that.
be interesting.
I'm gonna be in there.
And then we have to go live on TikTok too. They have like these battle things. It's fun. We'll have fun.
Oh, we can battle? Oh, that'll be so fun. Let me get back on TikTok. I got kind of scared off because I was posting stuff that I used to post like with no problem. And they were like community guidelines striking me all of a sudden. And I kind of got spooked. Like I didn't want to do anything bad. It was weird stuff. Like I don't know why they did it. But I'll be back over there because it sounds fun.
It is.
All right, that's all I really had. Thank you again for coming on the channel. And I will be certainly definitely keeping up with all the updates that you're going to be providing on the channel too. Peace.
Peace.
Love you, Nikki. Bye.